From the PSIA Satellite Studios in Portland, Oregon, I'm George Thomas. And what a guest we have for you on First Chair today. Tony Drees is joining us from Denver. Tony, where do you normally, where's kind of your usual abode?
I hang out, George, thanks for having me on. To answer your question, where I hang out either in Carbondale, because my home base is Snowmass, or I hang out in Lakewood. And so if I'm not on the mountain, I kind of slip away to Denver on the west side to Lakewood.
Well, Tony, I am really looking forward to this conversation. I want to start out, I don't want to talk about me, but I had a little anecdote that happened at work last week, and I think it's a good segue into our conversation. I went in to meet with our manager, and he sat me down, and he looked at me, and he goes, "George, I just have a question for you." And you know, don't take offense. you always start to take offense when you hear that.
Yeah.
But what is it? Someone your age, most people are really looking to slow down, and you're up working at 3:30 in the morning with training, and then you work all day, and then you're teaching at night. And why aren't you wanting to slow down? What is it that drives you? And I had to stop and pause and think about that for a while. And I thought, how funny to be asked that, because I have a feeling that our guest today has a lot of similar questions come up in his life. And Tony, I would like for you to take it away.
George, thanks for that. I'm curious as to what you answered, how you answered the question. And as you were asking it, I put my place in your shoe, and I was thinking, why do I go so hard, or why are we not slowing down? And honestly, George, I feel like there comes a point in a person's life where it just dawns on them that, hey, I'm in a cycle of first and last. And so I'm either doing things for the first time, and then as soon as I've done doing them for the first time, I begin to do them for the last time. So for me as a ski instructor, I've instructed people that are 4 years old and people that are 84 years old. The 4-year-old has to learn how to do things for the first time, and it can be a terrifying or very unsettling experience. The 84-year-old is likely doing the thing for the last time, and it's scary and likely unsettling. And so for me, I get to be the facilitator to make sure that whether it's your first time or your last time, your experience is going to be one that you'll take with you forever. And it shapes the way you feel about skiing. It shapes the way you feel about people. It shapes the way you feel about yourself. And so that's something that I take very, very seriously. And at a young age, I was pressed to understand the value of my life where other people may not have been. But I had the opportunity. I was forced to reckon with the value of my life. And that's what I've come to.
And I think that you may be talking about something I would really like to get into with you. That is one suggested by your hat, Purple Heart. And the other is a word that you said to me. You said, standing in my shoe.
Good catch.
Singular.
Good catch, George. Yesterday, 35 years ago, so February 25th, 1991, my building was struck by the deadliest Scud missile in the Iraqi war. 29 people perished, soldiers, sisters, brothers, friends, leaders, and over 100 of us were injured. I was 23 at the time. They told me that I would never walk again on that leg. So I went to the hospital, and the doctors kept saying this thing about they're going to cut my leg off. They're going to cut my leg off. They're going to cut my leg. Finally, they went to cut my leg off, and I was like, nope, you're not going to. And they all just stopped. They were shocked. They're like, how come? I said, well, I made up my mind. So I'm going to keep it. And then fortunately, the chief was there, and the chief goes, well, what do you want us to do? I was like, just tell me what to do. I'll do anything. So George, in 9 months, I had 58 surgeries, and I went to PT twice a day. And then eventually I just jogged out of the hospital on the leg they said I'd never walk on again.
You jogged.
I made a point of jogging. It wasn't very healthy, but I made a point of jogging. And I had that kind of tenacity and stuff. Honestly, people didn't know that I was even injured. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't know by looking at me. I had a very successful life. I was a salesman, sales trainer. Had a lot of fun in that arena. And then right before I turned 50, I started not feeling well. And push came to shove. I had some complications that winded up in cancer. And subsequently, in February of 2018, literally 27 years later, I was amputated at the hip right after my 50th birthday. And so before I went to get amputated, it's worthy of note that my sons, I have 4 children. I have 2 sons and twin daughters. But my sons in particular were teenagers and they were skiing. Their stepdad is a ski instructor. So they were skiing a lot and they were starting to ski pretty well. And so as I was looking at what I was going to do with my life going forward at age 50, it's a pivotal time for people anyway. And I was about to face mine one-legged. I was like, you know what? I could learn to ski. I had skied before in Germany years ago. When I moved to Colorado, I'd skied once or twice. I was like, I never really gave that my full attention. And I really liked it. I have a passion for it. I think I'd be good at it. And so I made up my mind to ski. And so by January of 2019, I had my first ski lessons at Ignite in Eldora. And the rest is history.
Now, how crazy is that? Because I was training at Eldora at that time. So we were actually passing on this.
Yep. My first instructor was Henderson. It's interesting. And we're going to talk about skiing here in a bit. But what I wanted to say is when I wrote that article, One Leg Many Lessons, I think people expected me to talk a lot about me skiing on one leg. And what I want us to make sure that we understand in this whole deal, that we're having a conversation, me skiing is a demonstration of collaboration. It's not one person. It's not one. I'm not alone. In order for me to ski, I had to work with the VA and get in their rec therapy program. I also was a Move United. I became a Move United Warfighter Ambassador. And so through those 2 things, the VA got me skiing, and then Move United bought me gear. And so that's back in the day. If we fast forward all the way to today, this year, I'm on scholarship for Challenge Aspen. I'm on scholarship from Team Simplify and America's Fund. And I'm on scholarship from PSAI, Workforce Scholarship. And then I'm also sponsored by Gene Taylor Sports. And so all of those collectively have allowed me to train for and to prepare for my Alpine Level II certification.
Oh, I love it.
And so that's what I'm telling you. This whole thing, it's not about one person. It's not about one instructor. It's not about one genre, one discipline. It doesn't work that way. It's the opportunity. I'm the pivot man, or the centerpiece of all these organizations coming together, even if it's in part, and their whole is this future of skiing. I'm inspirational enough, and then I want to make sure that I'm at the standard. So when these people that are inspired come to see me, that I'm giving them the level that they need to help them progress and achieve their goals.
Love it. Where I've got so many questions for you. One is drive. And yes, you're obviously a very driven individual, but like you said, you ran after 53 surgeries and you went down and were running. And there's that drive to be like, no, you're not telling me what to do. I'm in charge of me. Yet at the same time, can that drive ever be harmful for us? Because maybe we push a little too hard. Do you ever find yourself kind of like, oh, I'm doing this too soon? Or again, you need to take it easy here. I hate hearing those words.
It's very interesting. I also compete in summer games myself. And a couple of years ago, I was doing a bench press in competition. And between me and the spotter, we got our signals crossed. And we dropped the 300-pound barbell on my throat in competition. My wife was there, her family's there, my coaches, like everyone's there. And so, yes, I have these opportunities where other people may see it as a failure, a setback, a mishap, or whatever. And for me, it was, and it's a scary one at that. Sometimes they have to be scary, but it was a wake-up call for me. It was a wake-up call for me to make sure my commitment level commiserates with the task at hand. And so, in other words, don't think you could just walk up and do something that athletes prepare their whole lives to do, and you just do it because you happen to have gym shoes in your bag. If you're going to do it, then prepare for it like a professional. If you're not going to do it, then stay out of the arena. And that was a good lesson for me, because then the next time I came back, then I got 2 gold medals in powerlifting. And the one that I got hurt in was one of the ones I got a gold medal in. And so, yes, there's a push-pull between you're doing too much. If you're hurting yourself, obviously that's too far. But if I'm just falling, maybe I'm on the precipice of really getting some learning.
Hey there, just dropping in. If you believe in great instruction and education, consider a donation to the PSIA-AASI Education Foundation. Your donation helps fellow instructors access training and education. Give today by dropping down the About tab on thesnowpros.org.
I also want to talk with you about being an inspiration. You're an incredible inspiration for people over 50, for
people of color, people on one leg, people.
I want to talk about people that are dealing with bad injuries, things like that. I'm sure you are noticed out on the hill. And I have a feeling you look at that as a real positive, and you want to be a real inspiration for a lot of different people. How do you handle all of that?
So that's a great question, George, that inspiration question. You'd be surprised how many people come up and say, oh, you're a real inspiration to me. And being inspirational is cool as a ski instructor. Like everybody wants to be the ski instructor that people see from the left and go, I want to ski like that. So that's inspirational. I feel like, I hope I'm more of a reflective, or I incite reflection in people, because what happens around me mostly, my 3 rules, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a coach. My 3 rules are simply no lies, no excuses, and never quit. And so the truth is, no one would rather trade off one of their legs to be able to ski like me. That's just the truth. They wouldn't, no one would trade that. That's the honest to goodness truth. And yet, also is a truth that as human beings, we compare. And so if you see me, and if I'm skiing hot and you don't ski hot, in your mind, you ask yourself a question. If he can, how come I can't? I love that. That's my life. Like everything that I do, the way I load the car, the way I go to the grocery store, I get to do that in everyone's life. They'll look over at me, and they could be having a bad day or struggling or whatever, and see me, and I'm probably smiling. And so that makes people, I don't have to say a word. I get the opportunity just to be in that, as that inspirational reflection. Well, yeah, that's cool, but that's also a big responsibility, isn't it, George?
Yes,
it means everything I do, everywhere I go, I understand that I'm being watched. And if I feel like when my ego is involved, being watched, at some point, that could be a lot of pressure. If I understand what my mission is, look, 29 people passed away. And so if I'm carrying a torch for 29 people, that means the things I do with this one life have to be like, they have to be able to, if I get to meet these people again and they look, I don't want them to have any question why I was the one spared. I want them to look and be able to go, oh, it makes sense. And that's a hard thing to quantify, but that's the fuel that fires my life, is that other people didn't die or other people didn't live and I did. And so what am I going to do that I did live? What would I do with this opportunity? I don't know. I would have 29 opportunities to get it wrong. Well, then I'll try all 29.
And Tony, that's happened to you twice.
Multiple
At
times.
23 and again at 50, you're diagnosed with cancer. You've come back from that. And how do you get over the, oh my gosh, not again, but this is life. I need to move forward.
That one hurt, George. That one was really painful. It was painful physically, and I've had a lot of pain, but it was also painful emotionally because it was based on the decision of a provider. And so it's not the story for here, but yeah, I had to face that. And I'll tell you in as few words as possible, it was as close to resembling when I first got injured, other than getting first injured. All the things I went through, the hospital visits, the doctor interactions, all that stuff, it was a direct parallel. And it felt like a deja vu that I couldn't almost explain.
And there you're also dealing with something where a physical injury, it's like, okay, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do this. If I work harder, I might get better. With something like cancer, you don't have that control. How do you deal with that?
You got to deal with the mental injury. I thought when you said the physical injury, I thought the next thing you were going to say is the mental injury, and you said the cancer. The cancer, yes, but I feel like that goes in the physical category. There's physical, there's mental, and there's spiritual. The mental, man, if you have your spiritual in line, the mental's easier. If your spiritual is not in line, the mental and the physical, they converge to make it very, very difficult for a human being to be able to withstand it indefinitely. And the pain of cancer and the pain of loss of battle buddies, the pain of loss of opportunities perhaps in my life or decisions that were taken from me, all those things came flooding at the same time that I was in contemplation of having, and I don't know, not contemplation, in preparation and anticipation of having this major amputation. And then I just remembered that, hey, Tony, this whole thing is not all about you. For me, I feel like I'm just the conduit. The reason why I've had 78 surgeries is because that's what it's take to be able to get my message together. The reason why I ski on one leg and do backflips and teach for Aspen Ski Company is because that's what it takes for people to stop and recognize that there's not only a standard in skiing, but there's also a standard in living. And I'm doing my best to achieve the highest level I can of that.
How important was your instructor at Ignite in motivating you and moving you forward in your career?
This is funny. As some of my instructors, and I think this is worthy of note for instructors and for students, some of I went through instructors fast. I go hard, and a lot of those guys, it was hard keeping up with me. Even like I skied on my first day before lunch. I was out on the hill. I was off the magic carpet before lunch. Like I hated the magic carpet. And sometimes in rotating that, sometimes I would get an instructor that just didn't mesh with me. And so I'm the type of person that I believe everyone has a superpower. And if you can talk to them in their language, you can help them uncover their superpower. Some instructors I found to be very directive. Do this, do that, do that. And they had no idea of my motivations. They had no idea of who I was as an athlete. And so that I didn't always appreciate, because it was reminiscent of doctors that walk into me and say, oh, you should have this pill or that pill. And they didn't take the time to get to know me as a patient. So as a student, the instructors that didn't take the time to get to know me, sometimes they would make assumptions based on how I look for whatever reason, and they would be way wrong. And so I would go tell the director, I don't want to ski with that person again. I want to ski with a different person. And I was going every week. And so then I got to ski with a bunch of different instructors, and not contentiously, just sometimes I would just gut it out, and I would let instructors that I didn't like, I'd let them instruct me the whole lesson. And I would remember I would never do that on a lesson. So I would take notes. Then I got to go to NSCD and I skied with a guy that had the same leg as me. Game changed. Game over. He used to race. He used to, his name is Mark. And it changed my game. Like, my learning curve was straight up after that. Just by having someone that looked like me, that I could use the way that I learned the best, which is phonetic, by doing it. He's also telling me. I also, we're stopping, we're checking in. He's helping me. Like, it was game changing, George. And I remember thinking, man, I wonder if I could ever be this for someone else.
And I have a feeling you've achieved that goal.
Yeah,
on multiple levels.
Wow, but that part, that's what got me. That's the reason why I ski. And I should tell the audience this, that we're talking about my Alpine 2 certification. So I'm a one-legged man, and I teach able-bodied people how to ski at a pretty high level. I also happen to teach 3-tracking because I'm a 3-tracker. And it's not with any small amount of pride that I tell you that a young woman that I was skiing with last week, she'll be swimming in the Summer Paralympics. She's an amputee. And I introduced her to my friend who's a 3-time Paralympian. And we all got to ski together, all 3 of us with left legs on Aspen Mountain, and just ripping, jumping, having a great, and then I found out that a guy that I gave an instruction to, one of his first instructions 2 years ago, is representing Haiti right now in the Paralympics as a 3-tracker. So what that does for me as an instructor, and I can tell you a bunch more of each one of my lessons. I can tell you why it was pivotal to me, why it was pivotal to the student, whatever. So, like, these things they're not just, I had a ski lesson on Tuesday, I might have one on Thursday. No, these are opportunities that change a person's ski future. With the way they feel about skiing, the way they feel about themselves, and the way they feel about the world gets to change by sliding down a hill full of white stuff.
You've said a lot of words I've taken note of since I heard shoe. 2 words I've got to bring up now. Backflip.
Oh, that thing. Man, you're sharp, George. I can't get by you, huh? So, I think it's funny too, because I got to share with you, I'm 58 years old. And then someone in the locker room the other day asked me if I was going to do a backflip. I was like, I have no intentions of doing a backflip, but ask me again when I get closer to 60. See, you got it, right? So you get it. So now I can back up a little bit and tell the story. So I started to ski when I was 50. And I picked it up pretty quickly. I became a ski instructor when I was 51. Then all of a sudden we look up and we're running up on 5 years as I'm approaching my 55th year. But now I've been 5 years of skiing and 5 years of an amputation. We're coming up to an anniversary. So what better way to commemorate an anniversary on a ski than do a backflip, right? We've already hiked the bowl. We've already done all this other stuff. So I'm like, what's left but do a backflip? And if I can be candid for 1 second, George, all jokes aside, from the second they cut my leg off, I have a picture of me in the hospital in a wheelchair, upside down on iron rings. I was doing backflips on the rings in my wheelchair. And people are like, what is wrong with you? And I don't know why I had this. It's like this deja vu thing that I got. But I had this thing is like, you could be one of those veterans that got their leg cut off and sat over there and was bitter and grumpy, and you'd be well within your rights to just sit there and just grumble your way out through life. And actually, given the press that you've had in the past, you could probably get the newspaper or someone to follow you for a moment. Or you could do the things that people never thought they could dream with their eyes, and you could do them in person, and the newspapers would never stop following you. You could be that. You have a choice. And I was like, oh, well, griping. I was angry. I could have griped about it a long time, but I don't think I could have griped about it for 8 years. So instead, I got to work. I was like, you know what, doing this backflip thing. And it was a great like litmus test for me, physicality wise. By 5 years, I started feeling a lot better, or like my body felt better. And it was a good way for me to benchmark my physicality compared to my prior amputation, prior to my amputation. And it's a great way to raise awareness. It's a great way to get people to stop saying things just based on what they see, and find out who are you really communing with? Who are you talking with? Who are you sitting with? Who are you spending time with? Whose energy are you sharing? Not, I see you and I think because you're a certain age or a certain race or a certain this, then I put you in this category and dismiss you. I get to break a lot of those categories, or those buckets of categories. I get to go through and just kind of break all the buckets, and people have to figure out where to put their pieces afterwards. And I'm generally gone.
Tony, how excited are you to be going for your level 2, and when are you taking your exam?
To have to be candid, I'm really excited. And I actually took them a couple weeks ago. It's a 3-day on snow exam. I took mine at Aspen Highlands, and I'm excited to say that I had passed the teaching and the Alpine 2 skiing, but I was a little bit short on my MA. So I'm in preparation now. I'm boning up on my MA, and my intention is to get it yet this year.
Wow, Tony, it has been amazing getting to visit with you today. I look forward to many more opportunities of doing the same. Anything else you'd like to say in conclusion?
No, I just really thank you, George. Thanks for having me here. I just really want to make sure that we have the point across that outdoor rec is not a solo sport. It's an opportunity for collaborations, nonprofits, retailers, tourism industries, hospitality. Like, everyone has an opportunity to put their skin in the game for outdoor rec, and not only for mental health, physical health, but also for the health of us as humans. We find a lot of healing out here. And so when more people find the healing, more people will join the preservation.
Tony Drees, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thanks,
Really
George.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
From the PSIA-AASI Satellite Studios in Portland, Oregon, I'm George Thomas.